The title today, as I said, is A Strong Man Needs a Good Woman, and here's why. This is so important. A good woman, a wife, is not there, number one, just to be window dressing for your life, gentlemen. But nor, ladies, are you there to be in this marriage just so that you can be pampered and you can be spoiled and he can do everything for you so that you can have a free ride through life. Both of those things exist. Hopefully none of them are in this church. But that's not what a wife's role is. A wife is to contribute to the life of her husband. First of all, physically. I'm not just talking about sexuality, although that is a big part of it. I'm not going to get into any of that today. But if you read Proverbs 31, it's about managing the things that her husband does. It's about contributing to the life of the family, not just being there and taking it all in. She contributes emotionally to her husband. Ladies, you just need to stop complaining right now that your husband is not as emotionally sensitive as you are. He never will be, and you wouldn't like him if he was. That's your part to play. Your part is to be the emotional one and to support and help him work through those things. And also, number 3, to contribute spiritually. The husband is the spiritual head of the household, but ideally, there is a partnership that doesn't require any kind of hierarchy in the household, where we are both committed to serving the Lord together, and she's there to support him and to push him in that direction, as Abigail is going to do for David in just a moment. Proverbs 31, verses 10 through 12. An excellent wife who can find? There is no shortage of videos posted online, people asking exactly that question. An excellent wife who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. There's so much foolishness out there where you marry your woman, but don't ever trust her because you know what they're like. That sounds like a great marriage you're building for yourself right there. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. I'm just going to read that again. It's just so good. An excellent wife who can find? Far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. In particular, relating to our subject this morning, a good woman like Abigail, who is one of the Proverbs 31 women of the Bible. A good woman knows the heart of men and how to help them in their masculinity. Do you see how Abigail looks at this situation and immediately understands what's going on and knows how to help? She's going to continue this in the following section. That she understands, this is how my husband is acting, this is how this other man is acting. I understand this kind of conflict, and I know how to diffuse it and to make it work for them both. She has an understanding of the male mind and the male heart. Of course, today, and I hope this is nothing going on in our congregation, but it seeps in. Today, there is this war against toxic masculinity. That word toxic, if I never hear that word again, I'll be just fine with it. Because everyone is just so toxic. What that means is, well, we didn't get along yesterday. That doesn't mean you're toxic. That just means you're living a life with real people. But anyhow, that's the whipping boy of today, is this toxic masculinity. And what that basically means is women blaming men for not being more like women. So, well, why are they like that? Why are they just like that? Why is David even responding to that insult? Why does Nabal have to say that? What difference does it make? Why do they never cry? Why do they never show their sensitive side? Pair that with the fact that the minute we do that, the ladies are like, why is he acting like that? I don't know if I'm not attracted to him anymore. Yeah, go figure. You don't believe me? You spend any time, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, there is no share of women calling themselves authorities on relationships and on marriage, telling you exactly what's wrong with every man you've ever met. And they'll use words like toxic or problematic or patriarchal, or just kind of say, are men okay? Why are they acting like this? It's like they've been acting like that for thousands of years, sweetheart. Welcome to the party. This is how we are. And so this seeps into the church. And I have less jokey now. I have seen this in the congregation where I'll be sitting across the table from a woman telling me about her husband, and she's not saying anything that's wrong scripturally. She's just throwing out terms that she's heard on the internet because she doesn't understand how her husband ticks, and she's sitting there trying to think, I'm going to tell him how he has to be. But Abigail understood something. She understood that men need to feel needed and respected more than anything else. A man needs to feel needed. He needs to feel respected more than anything. He will take 0 affection and 100% respect from you every single time. And you think, well, that's just so hard. That's such a terrible way to live. No, that's how we are. You're different than him. He looks at you and he thinks you're like an alien too. I don't understand that. Why would we want to cry about that? What's that going to solve? Right? Then I'm at elbows right now is great. That just tells me that I'm on the right track here. Abigail understood something. She said, that provocation that Nabal offered David is not something to be lightly brushed aside. I can sit here and say, oh, these boys and the way they act, they're never gonna amount to anything. I don't know why I stay with this guy. Instead, she goes, my husband insulted this man. This man is a warrior, and he's coming after my husband. She understood that. She's not sitting there blaming them. She's not sitting there criticizing them. She says, I'm going to go about doing what needs to be done to bring them to terms. So here's your instruction, ladies. You've got to take the time to understand how your husband ticks. Instead of sitting around telling him how he's got to change and how he's got to be better, how about you just come at it like a scientist and just gather information for a while? What angers him? What makes him happy? What causes him to shut down and stop talking to me? What causes him to want to spend extra time away from the family? But then again, when is he just excited to be home, and what gets him smiling and what gets him out of bed in the morning? Only thing that gets him excited is football. Okay, why? Have you ever thought about that? You ever stop to consider why? The only thing he ever wants to do is go hang out with his buddies. You ever wonder why that is? Have you ever thought like that? Trying to understand your husband? There's all manner of good resources on this, but you've got to learn to meet your man on his terms. Who he is, not on yours. Not showing up with a list of demands and saying, unless you become more like me, this isn't going to work. He'll never be like you. And you need to take the time to understand why that is. And that it's not sinful and it's not evil.